Okay, well, today we're very lucky to have this young lady with us. She actually came to our meeting about a month ago. She was in the Dallas area. She's a transplant from up north, and she came down here and she was looking for groups at our meeting because she has a message, and you will hear that this evening. But she found us, and she came that evening and said hello, and we then scheduled her for coming to speak to us for the full length of the hour time she's here. So her name is Conway, and she's with a group called Turning Point USA. And their slogan is, "Big Government Sucks," which we all can agree with. And she's going to talk about their idea and the back of
what we've been doing, how the campus activism has been going. So.
Excellent. Well, thank you, sweetheart. I'm glad you're here.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, this blank screen that you're looking at right now was the beginning of a movie, but in order to show the slideshow, we couldn't do that. We had to convert it to kind of PDF. But what it did was it kind of explained where we started from and the youth background of our organization. You see a lot of clubs and events and things that happen and go on, and everybody in the meeting is out of college or in the workforce, 40 plus, something like that. And what we really need is the youth. We need the youth movement. OFA is on campuses all the time. We have left-wing groups on campuses all the time promoting all kinds of different things. What you guys have in front of you is a sample of what I bring to campus with me. Last week was National Debt Awareness Week, so you have the flyer that I brought to campus that I gave out to students. It's kind of a easily relatable piece of paper for them to look at, read, and understand what was going on. But we were started by Charlie Kirk, who was only 20 years old when he started the organization. Everybody in the organization is roughly 26 and under. So it really is youth-based, and that appeals to a lot of college students, that our entire staff is their age, was recently in college, or in Charlie's case, is still going to college as well as running this organization. Big Government Sucks is the 10-week campaign that we're doing right now, trying to figure out the scrolly thing. We're going on a little bit old school right now. But what we promote really are a couple different key things. We're fiscally responsible. We promote capitalism, the free market, the idea of kind of individual success through a strong economic system. Not kind of mutually assured misery, but kind of differently given out success. There's any unequal success, but it's a success that you want to achieve by the opportunities of real you. We promote an informed electorate. That's why we go to college campuses. 1 million people turn 18 every day, and then they don't go vote, and then 6 months down the line they complain about it. They're upset that the people they want aren't in, or the people aren't voting in their favor, and it's, well, did you vote? And the next answer is, no, politics doesn't matter to me. And it's, well, you just told me that everything's kind of going against you, so how does it not matter to you? So an informed electorate. We talk about the different issues. We educate our voters. We encourage discussion. I had somebody pull up a chair at my table and sit down for 20 minutes the other day on campus. He was late to class, but we had a discussion that other students got to listen to and take part in. That's how you get informed. That's how you get educated. And even if somebody listening wasn't so sure on the issues, at that point in time they had an interest. And maybe they took that interest someplace else, and they looked into it somewhere else, and they talked to somebody else. And that starts the ball rolling. The power of the youth, like I said, 1 million people turn 18 every day. Why aren't they voting? That's a huge voting bloc. It's like a huge group of people that can be a huge advantage to a lot of different areas, a lot of different groups. That's just kind of tossed away. An independent approach, and that Tomorrow Was Brighter is kind of our idea of doing this differently. We call ourselves the most innovative youth movement in the country, and that's because we have a different plan than YAL and YAP and the CRs. We have very structured activism. We don't go out there and say, okay guys, what do you want to do on campus today? Which is what a lot of college students encounter. And as a recent college grad, I can tell you that we're not always planning that. We maybe have a food and politics event because that's what we've got time for. So when somebody comes to campus and says, hey, I've got this activism stuff, I've got these materials that we're going to give to you totally for free, and I'm going to help you with this activism, I'm going to do the footwork for you, you get a lot more interest. A lot of clubs are really excited to sign on to that because they don't have to do anything. You're going to give them everything.
Sorry, it's like
It's super sensitive, and then it's not sensitive sometimes, so bear with me. We offer a lot of different really cool ways for students to be involved too. We have the Speakers Bureau, where you sign up, we kind of screen you and see what's going on, and that you're at least in line with our ideas. And then we give you different opportunities to go talk to groups like I'm doing now. A lot of young people don't love that because of public speaking. Not everybody is as weird as me, where you're like, yes, I'm in front of a group, this is great. But it's a good way for students who like that kind of exposure to go talk about turning points, to go talk about our message, to bring it to some people who can bring it to somebody else. Our columnist program, this is my favorite thing to push because I love their columnist program. We don't tell you what to write about. We don't tell them what it's due. If an issue strikes a student, if something really means a lot to them, they go onto the WordPress account that we give them, type it up, write it up, they edit it first, and it goes through our editors who don't change your message, they won't change your ideas, they won't change the body, they'll just make sure it's grammatically correct, and then we post it onto our website. And some of our columns and writers have been picked up and moved into different really prominent websites. So it's a cool way to get exposure for young writers as well, without adding to the stress of kind of school and different deadlines, because you don't have a deadline. You write about what you want when you have the time to do it, which really appeals to college students. We have different chapters on campus. I have one at UTD right now that's trying to grow. We have just a couple people, and she's really excited about it. We're trying to get her more members. So if you know anybody at UTD who wants to be involved, please send them to me so I can help this poor, overstressed girl out. We have, it's bad. We have activism materials that come to you totally for free. The nice thing is we have awesome donors. One of our weeks is no free lunch, and we tell you nothing's free. And it's true, none of our stuff is free, but it's free to the students because of our supporters. We have people who really love our message, who really want us to be successful on campus. So if a student comes to me and says, I want to do all 10 weeks of Big Government Sucks, they'll go through the same trauma that I went to, where they go home one day and there's 10 boxes outside of where they live, and it's going to clutter up their apartment for the next 10 weeks, but that's flyers, that's buttons, and stickers, that's pamphlets, that's everything they need for successful activism for the entire semester at no cost to them. No shipping, no handling, no tax. We don't even tell you what to do with it. And our CPAC Ambassador Program, we're accepting applications for in the coming weeks. That's we take 40 people, 40 students to CPAC totally free in the spring. We pay for their hotel, we pay for their tickets, they get to walk around, listen to speakers, be a part of what's going on. All we ask is that they wear these obnoxious red polos and work at the booth a little bit, talk about turning points, talk about what's going on. And what a great opportunity for students. Like, if you've been to CPAC, you know that once you're not a student, the ticket goes up quite a bit from $40. And the hotel is a rather expensive hotel, but you meet a lot of great people, and it's filled with a lot of young people recently too. So a great networking opportunity, what a great career opportunity. That's actually where I met the people with Turning Point USA who later offered me this job. So our 10 weeks of Big Government Sucks, we go from Student Activism Week, Capitalism Cares, National Debt Awareness, we're all the first 3 weeks. We started August 25th, and each week takes on a different theme with a short and sweet flyer that you all kind of got. National Debt Awareness, we talked about what the students owe as individuals, what we waste our money on. I think it was a $3 million study to see why lesbians are overweight went to a university in Indiana. There weren't 3 million better places we could have spent taxpayer money. It had to go to that. And so that's kind of what you bring up with the students is you look at this stupid way we spent the money. And they love it because of what? Are you kidding? They relate to that immediately. It's not, oh, well, frivolous policy that we saw on C-SPAN that doesn't make any sense. It's very convoluted when you get it from the news or when you get it from representatives or when you get it from politicians. I don't want to say dumb it down, but we make it relatable. Quick points, you get how it affects your life, and that's the end of it. Now we're in Constitution and Free Speech Week. So what I did when I went to Texas Women's University and I saw the free speech zone signs is I put a Big Government Sucks sticker on every free speech zone sign because last time I checked, everything should be a free speech zone. Not too sure how well that went over. I left campus pretty promptly after that. But the point still stands, and that gets you thinking. If you were getting your Capitalism Cures and your Free Speech Week, and then you see that on a free speech sign, what is that? And then both of our websites are on that sticker that you saw. We have Keep More Stuff, They're Listening, No Free Lunch, Great Depression. I'm going to get into all of these, I'm just reading them quickly for you. National Debt Awareness, we have something really cool that no other organization has, and that is our student debt block. So every student's share of the national debt is available on our website. So if you're a college student and you want to see how much of that $17 trillion is expected to come out of your pocket, it is $929,828 per university student in the United States is owed as part of that national debt. No free lunch, nothing the government gives you is free. Everything's paid for by the taxpayers. What I'm finding is a lot of students don't like to read the entire poster.
That's true.
So they'll see free lunch, and then they'll be like, wait, what's no free lunch? there's this little word at the bottom, it says tomorrow. And it's kind of like the idea of procrastination, where tomorrow you get this, but it never really happens. And a lot of students look at that and they're like, well, I'm getting college for free, or my favorite is I'm getting healthcare for free. And I'm like, are you really though? And I'll bring up, oh, how about your part-time job? How about when you get overtime and it suddenly bumped you into the next tax bracket? Did it not make you think, wait a minute, how am I now in the next tax bracket? And they're taking away all that extra money I just earned. When you get it to their level, they love it and they hate it at the same time because now they're thinking like you. The truth about Obamacare, this one gets a lot of people because they really do think that they're getting kind of a great huge benefit from it, that they're getting free health care. They have no idea what's going on. They eat it up, they love just the idea. And when they see this, a lot of them like to try to remind me that it's actually called the Affordable Care Act. So what I like to do is remind them that it was Obama and the left themselves that wanted us to call it Obamacare. They don't get to change their minds later and then decide to take his name off it because a lot of people are not happy with it. You tell the students that they are actually the ones paying for it. Your young people are expected to support everybody else on that system. And then they're funding a system with people that they're telling they can stay on the system until they're 26, as long as they're on their parents' insurance. But then they could also opt out of that and spend massive amounts of money to pay for everybody else's insurance since they're not using it. Oh, and you young men, you're covering maternity care. What college student, who in their right mind is 22, goes to college, is a young male, and thinks, you know what I need maternity coverage. But that's what they do. And contraceptives, yes. These are just some pictures. We've had actually really good reception from students. A lot of students love it. They get their posters, they see the big government sucks, and if they don't know what that means right off the bat, they come up to it and they look at it and then they look at you like you're crazy. And then they ask you about it, they're like, what is this? Like they're waiting for you to jump out like the Unabomber. But usually once you get them engaged, they're really excited about it. Like, yeah, I hate that. That's wrong. And I use personal liberty all the time, and they love that. I think a lot of young people don't realize exactly where they stand. And that's partially from the news, that's partially from our schools, that's partially from just young people talking to each other. Because it's hard to kind of discern where you stand politically if you're not already in it and looking at different things and paying attention to different issues and understanding the different branches of both political parties, because they all break down into a lot of different ways. So when you have these conversations with the students and you kind of explain to them what the ideas of personal liberty are, what fiscal responsibility is, they love it and they get super on board. And then they're afraid of Turning Point because they think, oh my God, you guys are a crazy right-winger organization and you have to be one of those crazy people that they talk about on the news or on NPR to be part of this. And I explain to them, our field staff ranges from religious conservative to Ron Paul and like beyond Ron Paul. So as long as you're happy to be fiscally responsible, as long as you believe in individual liberty and being able to be a part of your government and that the bigger government is not a better government, we're happy to have you. Nobody in our organization agrees. If you saw our Turning Point USA staff Facebook page, you would think we're all constantly just beating each other up. Because that's all it is. So if somebody posts an issue in their opinion and then everybody else has to chime in and tell them how they're wrong or maybe where they're right. But that's the kind of group that Turning Point is we encourage discussion. We work with CRs, we try to work with YAL, we work with YAP. If you're a different group, if you're just a student who's kind of floating around and interested, we want you to be engaged. No group really goes for that. They just want you to send their message. We want involvement, we want education. And students love it. We have our new stuff coming out. This is all old stuff. It's the original Big Government Sucks, your t-shirts, your buttons, your flyers. And now we have Washington, D.C., Leave Me Alone. We're getting bumper stickers, pamphlets, and we have LOL with the Obama symbol in between. And it's grabbing stuff like that that gets students' attention. I'm actually excited for those boxes to show up at my door now that the pain from the original like 10 is worn down. It's super easy to get involved. We don't expect students to really go out of their way at all for anything. You just go to our website and you go to the Get Involved link and you fill out 4 boxes. You maybe check another and you hit submit and you're done. You can go back to your Netflix or whatever it was that you were doing. And you got distracted and now you're done being distracted. So we're really geared on students having other things going on. A lot of students approach me and they say, you know, I'm so busy though, I have school, I have work, I have this, I have that. And great. We want you to have all that. That's why we make everything else so easy. That's why we don't give you a deadline if you want to be a communist. That's why we don't demand that if you request free materials, you hand them out a specific way, at a specific time, on a specific day. If you request flyers, what you want to do is walk through the quad of campus and kind of toss them into the air. Then walk through the quad of campus and toss them into the air. That's what we want you to do, is be engaged and active in your own way. That's how you get students to listen. They don't like being told what to do. So if you offer them candy and tell them they can do anything they want, they get really excited. These are some of our other weeks. Capitalism Cures was one of my favorites. We talked about the free market and capitalism and how it pulls more people out of poverty than any other economic system, how your poor people in a capitalist society are richer than your equally miserable people in a socialist society. And absolutely, and they were, what, really? Oh my gosh, because they hear capitalism and they think, oh my god, the wage disparity, the wage gap, it's not fair. And it's, no, what we do is we tell you this is kind of your starting point. Take advantage of these programs. Put your hard work into this, that, and the other thing. Climb the ladder that we've provided, but it's up to you to climb that ladder. That's capitalism. Socialism is taking away the ladder and telling everybody, okay, you all stay there. And when you explain it to students like that, rather than getting into this theory and that economic theory, and I love politics. I took the economic theory course, and I was falling asleep. And this is my stuff. So when you break it down to students really easily like that, and tell them, equally miserable, or do you want a chance? Oh yeah, I can do this, I want a chance. I had one student come up to me, tell me about the business he wanted to start. He wanted to start his own little business in his community, and then he wanted to franchise it out to different places, and students got to listen to that. And I said, now, do you think you'd be able to individually do that in a different economic system? Someplace that didn't support small businesses, something that overregulated to the point that you couldn't start your business because just to meet all those government regulations, you wouldn't even be able to open the doors. He's, oh yeah, oh my god, I never thought of it that way. And that's what you need to do with young people. So if you guys leave here with anything tonight, it's don't talk to young people like you're sitting in class, because they don't care. They do that enough on their own. When you break it down and make it personal, talk about them. That's all they want to hear about, is them. It's me, 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 especially if they're still college students. Talk about them, make it relatable to their life. When I get the, it doesn't matter to me, I said, okay, well, what's your major? What do you want to do when you get out of school? Narrow it down to that field, make it their life, and they love it. Oh my god, really? That matters? And we had the Great Depression. They're holding little signs that says, I'm not even in school yet and I have debt. One of our signs is Obama hugging a baby, and it says, hey, I just met you and this is crazy, but you owe me $50,000 and you're just a baby. So we're grabby, we do weird things like that, but it's true. You're born into debt now because of wasteful spending. It's not necessary spending all the time. It's not government functions that are essential that we're spending all this money on. It's why lesbians are overweight and treadmills for shrimp. $350,000 to see. Yes, exactly.
Treadmill for shrimp.
Treadmills for shrimp.
You heard about that?
Sorry?
What is that?
That's true. I think it was a DOD one. Yeah. That money was spent, your taxpayer dollars were spent on developing treadmills for shrimp. Sorry?
Don't get into the mechanics of how a tax revolt would happen.
We don't, but we encourage our students to pursue other avenues if they are interested. I will direct them to you. I'll send them to this meeting.
No.
But you're in debt because of these crazy spending plans.
Where's
And
the
part of
debt?
that, sorry?
Okay.
No, go ahead, it's cool.
Well, I was gonna say, where does the national debt come from?
From spending.
Okay, right. Borrowing by the government.
Borrowing is when they
From-
try to spend their way out of debt.
From
and
the
then
Federal
they-
Reserve.
Yeah, the one that we backed or
Right.
what. But
I'm sorry, let me correct you. National debt come from stealing. $2 trillion lost and nobody knows where it is.
oh, is it gonna know where it came
Trillion,
from?
then nobody knows where it is.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough. We do that.
And we're gonna let her continue.
No, it's fine. I love interjections like what I deal with my students, so that's what we do. But that debt doesn't need to be that big. And what I try to tell my students to relate it to big government is if we had a smaller government, we'd be able to have more oversight. If we had more people paying attention, there'd be more accountability. Because the next thing they like to tell me is, yeah, well, they're in office, they're just going to be in office. I said, did you vote? No. Were you planning on voting? No. Well, that's why they're in office. An incumbent gets in most of the time, and that's basically because of name recognition. if y'all started paying attention, if all 1 million people who turned 18 daily started paying attention, and if you didn't like what they were doing and you did go out and vote, that's a decent dent at the very least. Now go take 2 or 3 of your friends out to vote on the same day. If you don't like those politicians, and stop whining about it, telling me it doesn't matter and that they're always going to be corrupt anyway, go do something about it. If you have a smaller government, less government alphabet soup, you could have a little more oversight than they claim to have in the IRS. And then NSA week is another one of my favorites. We tell them that every text message you send is a group message. The theme of the week is they're listening. That's why you have the headphones kind of over the NSA symbol. And students hate the NSA. That's the only issue that they pay attention to 90% of the time is the NSA. They hate it. They like that Snowden released all that stuff. They're kind of hit or miss on Snowden, but they like that he released it. And they hate the idea of the government feeling it's okay to go into their emails and their cell phone records without cause. So when they don't listen to you, bring up the NSA and listen to them go off for about 15, 20 minutes because they're so mad about it. Yes?
We call the NSA the only government agency that listens.
Yes. Yep. One of our posters is maybe if we all email the Constitution to each other, the government will read it. So it's little things like that we try to grab them with. One of ours for Capitalism Cures is North and South Korea in a satellite image from space, and it says communism, and you see North Korea totally dark. You can see it from space, and then you see South Korea underneath totally lit up. And what's really sad about that is a lot of college students don't get it, and I have to explain it. But when they come over in groups, it's kind of okay because I don't have to say the same thing a million times. But that tells us what we've let happen to you. And that falls on the adults, that falls on other young people as well, it falls on our government, our schooling, and everything else, as they look at a poster about communism in North Korea and they can't understand why communism made one country completely dark in a satellite image, and why a free market or a freer market made South Korea brighter. Where did we lose that? Where did we lose that sense of understanding of economics, even of North Korea as a country? A lot of them are, well, what's going on there? Why are they communists? How did you miss that? Did you not see the basketball player go over there and talk about what great friends he is with Kim Jong?
Probably can't find it on a map.
Well, that too. I think I'm at the end of it. Yes, that's my end. Does anybody have any questions? Can I tell you anything
Yeah,
else?
what are you going to do about Obamacare?
What are we going to do about Obamacare? We're trying to mobilize the youth vote. That's our main goal. That's how we address all of our issues, is we want young people active and engaged because their voting demographic grows so much more quickly than any other demographic. And that's kind of our approach to all of it. We don't write policy. We don't, as a group, go and petition different things. We promote it kind of from the ground. We want the students to go to it. And the field coordinators will talk to students, will tell them the avenues and the routes to take, how they can go about these different things. That's our job, is to kind of be a liaison and an aid to the students. But otherwise, we kind of leave it up to the mobilization of the demographic.
Very nice.
Yes.
Whose brainchild was your group? How did it get started and when and where?
Sure. It was started by Charlie Kirk.
By who?
Charlie Kirk.
Charlie Kirk?
Yes, sir. Like Captain Kirk, but not.
Like who, what, or where? Who is
He was
it?
out of Illinois. He was a young man who was speaking at a Tea Party conference, and he met somebody named Bill Montgomery. He's one of our financial leaders. And he talked about how he wanted youth involvement. He wanted a different strategy, and Bill Montgomery and Charlie Kirk got together and they began this group 2 years ago. It was only a couple people working in their office, and since then we've covered all 50 states. We're at 700 campuses nationwide, and we have field coordinators in, I believe it's 5 or 6 states right now.
How long ago did you get this group get started?
2 years.
2 years ago? So like basically where's the money coming from?
It comes from donors, private donors. We
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
take money from
Because they have to be well funded to be able to take
We're
people to go around.
incredibly well
Because
funded,
that
and we have
costs
some
money,
very
yeah,
generous,
yeah.
very kind donors.
The basic ideology of the principal guy or two that started, would you say right wing, middle of the road, ultra conservative?
He's, I want to say just individual. I got
Pardon
the
me?
chance, kind of just his own thing.
Yeah.
He's very down line, he's very pro-free market, pro-capitalism, pro-fiscal responsibility.
I
He's
kind of
very
picked up on that.
conservative fiscally. That's our main goal. We don't really go into the social issues, and that's so that we can have religious conservatives all the way over to Ron Paul libertarian and beyond as part of our field staff. Our only main concern is the fiscal issues. Yes?
From your experience in dealing with college students today, how would you assess the level of their understanding and appreciation of the Constitution and the founding fathers, the early history of the country?
Low. I have very high expectations, probably just because of the way that I am myself. And I know the information is out there. I know that they can learn these things. It's not in some deep, dark corner of the internet where they have to actively search it out, but it's there. They don't understand that the Constitution isn't actually telling the government what it can do so much as telling the government what it can't do. They don't understand the basis of that document as a guideline. They think, oh, it's old, it's outdated, it doesn't matter anymore. Oh, we really follow that now? They don't understand the different pieces of it, the different amendments to it, the difference between that and the Bill of Rights. And that's kind of why we do Constitution Week, and we pass out little pocket constitutions, and the Heritage Foundation has been great to give us that, as well as all kinds of different other literature having to do with the Constitution and freedom of speech, and that nobody needs to put you in a free speech zone for you to be able to say what it is that you're thinking. So the potential is there in students, but what they don't do is go after it because they've lost sight of the value on it. And I kind of attribute that a little bit to losing sight of the value of history. They don't see how that's important, so our founding documents aren't important. And so what? Who cares if this happens because it has no relevance? You would understand the relevance of all that if people still valued historical knowledge, and a lot of young people don't. Yes?
So when you're talking to them about North Korea and South Korea, I guess if they don't understand the relevance of the Constitution, then I can understand the relevance of Truman and Marshall's refusal to blow the bridges over the Yalu, letting the Chi-Coms come in and kill 5,000 members of the 1st Marine Division. That's beyond.
We're lucky if they know what that is. At this point, I'm really just working on getting them to understand communism as a system versus the free market or any other governing body.
So the National Education Association has done its job by dumbing down their dumbass.
Bang up job. Yes, ma'am.
I have a grandson that's really interested in this. He was not able to come. He's a senior in high school.
Okay.
So in November, he'll be 18. So is there an age limit? I mean, can he go online and?
Yeah, absolutely. We don't care how old you are. We do have high school chapters. They can't do as much as the college chapters just because of the differences in the institution itself. But we do have high school chapters. We encourage anybody who wants to get involved to get involved. We don't send out materials to chapters only.
Well, he goes to a charter school and he's doing a fast track. So when he graduates from high school, he'll already have his associate's degree and he's looking to go. He'll probably get a scholarship for like a university, and he's very interested in political science and he loves history and the Constitution and all that. So he's kind of right now.
Absolutely. I will give you my card on the way out of here.
Okay.
And you could just have him message me if he has any questions or comments, if he needs help navigating the site or anything, but we want everybody in. We're just happy to have the youth involved. Anything else? Yes, sir.
Since you're on college campuses, my first promise of it, but about the leftists, how does they react to it?
I love them because they get so mad. They walk by and they're like, I love big government, and they yell it at me like I'm going to get upset and chase them down. Or they come over and they listen to you for a little bit and they try to do the leftist arguments, that kind of the road to nowhere circular logic that the college leftists love to employ. And as soon as you come back at them with facts, which is incredibly easy to do even for the students at my table, just because of how quick and simple our flyers are, they kind of look at you and they're like, yeah, well, you just don't like people, or you're hateful, or you're this. They use the party lines, you're a bigot, you're a hate monger. And then they kind of walk away and you laugh about it. I had a teacher come up to me, take my buttons and my flyers and tell me, I'm going to go put these on the desks of the teachers that I know will hate them. And I've had students take them for their friends that they know will hate them. Even the leftists on campus are getting kind of stuck with this.
Tell us one more time how you've grown. What are your numbers in 2 years?
Yeah, in 2 years, we've reached 700 campuses nationwide. That means either a chapter or we have students who are actively participating and requesting materials. We just broke into all 50 states right at the beginning of this semester, you'd say. First week of August, we finally made it into Alaska, Connecticut, Hawaii, and Arizona, which were our last 4 states. And the numbers are just incredible. If the video had worked, it would have told you how many people like us and are active with our social media and our Twitter and our Facebook and that
Yeah,
kind
your
of stuff.
Facebook has, I looked.
It's growing all the time. It's in thousands of contacts. Yeah, it's incredible.
It's an awesome concept, it really, really is. And it's well needed. The only thing that I'm thinking as I'm listening to you, I'm thinking, just be sure not to activate the ones that are pro-communist. You know,
That's what I'm
you're
worried about.
generally activating people to do something. But I guess along the way, you might even
You're always
activate
gonna trip off something or tick somebody off, and they're gonna, yeah, I want to counter this. Good for them, go ahead and try. You're never gonna go through the rules of all these different things and not find somebody who opposes your ideas and doesn't want to do something about it. That's how this group started, is we didn't like the way that other groups were going
That's
about
right,
college
that's right.
activism. So we did it our own way. What we need to do is make sure that we're more successful, that we send a better message, that we appeal to more students than those other groups, and maybe the pro-communists.
That's awesome. Would you like to say something?
You said that you were rather generously funded by private individuals.
Yes.
Who?
One is Phil Montgomery, the other is
And what do they do?
Michael something. They have their individual ventures. We didn't go into their backgrounds during our training week. We met them, we got to go to, I know one owns a jewelry store, and talk to them and see kind of what they do, but there wasn't a lot of detail in it, and they haven't released the donor list to us. I'm sure
The
it's a
second question is,
Yes, sir.
I'm not on campus, so what is there for me to do?
You can spread it to other people. That's why I go to these meetings. I don't expect a lot of college students to take time out of their Monday night to go to a meeting for political issues. You don't see it happen. But by talking to you guys, you all know somebody somewhere, I'm sure, who knows a young person. And you tell that young person, you spread that message kind of that way. Word of mouth is key. Word of mouth is how you get everything everywhere.
Just one little suggestion. You've used the term capitalism. And the way that I see it, this is basically, under the Constitution, it is designed for free enterprise, of which capitalism should be a well-controlled portion of that, not the supreme idea, because the supreme idea of capitalism leads to the corporate takeover of the world that we're facing today, to fascism.
Well, that's kind of why we use capitalism and the free market, fiscal responsibility. We use a lot of different words, and for that, it's kind of just to get recognition from young people.
Right.
They don't always necessarily latch on to the more concise or accurate term, so much as the term that they recognize the most.
Okay.
And once you get them in with that recognition, you could continue the conversation down a different road. Yes, sir.
Okay, my issue is income tax. That's one I focus on. Is that incorporated with your program at all? I haven't seen it on there, but as far as
Don't
progressive
talk about it
income tax?
specifically.
Mhm.
I'll bring it up because I came from a state that not only had federal income tax, but state income tax. And if you look at the numbers, your states without the state income tax are actually pulling more in revenue yearly than your states with the income tax. So I'll bring that up kind of individually if students bring it up, but it's not one of our key points.
The progressive income tax system that we have is apparently one of the planks of the Communist Manifesto, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
That's exactly what it is.
And it's unconstitutional.
Yeah, it's unconstitutional. Okay, so you're aware of that.
There was an attorney by the name Tom Pryor. I'll give you his site to look up. It's called Truth Attack. And he defeated the IRS and proved that an average American don't have to pay tax. But since we're so fearful dealing with the IRS, we're not going to go against them.
It's so easy for them to
But
prosecute the
But
minority.
it's a crime against society. They don't have a right to do that. I studied, it's over 1,000 pages. And I decided not to.
Some light reading, right?
Huh?
Some light reading.
So you're a staff person, you're a paid person on, okay, how many paid people per state do you have?
It
How big is
varies on
your
the
territory?
state.
How big is
We
your
have
territory?
roughly 6 states right now that have a field coordinator. Texas has 3 field coordinators. We have myself
Yes, I
from
know.
North Texas. We have a girl in Austin, and a girl in Houston. Illinois has a couple field coordinators. South Carolina and North Carolina have 1 coordinator. Florida has 1 coordinator. And that's because we're still growing. We have some part-time workers in different places, but due to the young nature of our organization, the full-time field staff is kind of a new thing. We were people now that are talking to groups like this and saying, I'm a field coordinator for Turning Point USA. We're all new hires. We were all brought to Chicago at the same time to go through the same training week to kind of test this out. So we're kind of the pilot program, and for just starting, everybody's doing really well. We're collecting tons and tons of emails per week. It's in the hundreds of students who are signing up.
One promotional that you might do is to do free screenings of things like Hunger Games and The Giver and Divergent and some of these other dystopian future tyrannies that have been so popular with the young.
The problem
Because I think
with
they
that,
don't understand exactly what they're getting into.
but see, they don't look at it and see the politics of it the same way as big dorks like us do. I can't watch a TV show or a movie without being like, oh my God, I'm seeing the political structure going on inside of it. But your average college student doesn't see that. So if something like that were to happen, I would suggest it more to our individual chapters or to students who want to do it with a small group where they could be almost interactive about it and discuss it. But as a whole, just doing it as a blind promotion, students are going to come, they're going to watch the Hunger Games, and they're going to go home thinking it was the Hunger Games. They're not going to get kind of the backstory or the inner message or how that relates politically.
Well, then stop the film.
Would you go to that? Okay.
Stop the film.
If you-
Stop the film and say, President Snowden, or not Snowden, Snow. How did Snow get his power? And how did, in the book it says this, and this. And you use it as a teaching moment.
But see, something like that would still work better with a smaller group. As a
Well, I'm
whole,
sure
you
it
tell a
would,
group of
but
students.
it's a way to draw them in and then maybe get them to a small group. It's how you entertain it in the masses and you turn it into an opportunity to educate them in political philosophy.
I see where you're coming at it from, and I like the idea of somebody who watches movies and does things like that, but also when working with the youth all the time, and just being out of college myself, you advertise a movie and you tell them, we're going to discuss what's going on, and throughout the whole movie, you're not going to be able to pull in a large group like that. You're going to have people who just leave. Because college students don't have time for that. This is boring, I know. So you're better off doing it in your small group, and maybe they bring a friend, or they bring another friend, and then they promote it to their friends that way. If you work kind of from the ground, it works a lot better than kind of just throwing the net out.
Then what you're saying is we're screwed. Because here's why. No, because if they don't have the attention span if all they want to do is be entertained, if all they want is bread and circuses, then Rome went down that way and we see what happened. If on the other hand they're able to stop and listen and, oh, I never saw it in that way, but you're right, that makes sense. And here's where you have a teaching moment. You draw them in with the movie and then you teach them with it. Then we might have some hope.
What I'm saying is there's a right and a wrong way to approach it, and throwing out the big net would be the wrong way. But starting out in a small group, because you do have an interest in students. If you promote it to students who walk by and you talk to them, you get the interested students, they go tell their other interested students, and then you sit them and they go through that kind of thing and they discuss it with each other, because they're much happier to talk to each other than to talk to some person standing in the front of the room doing what I'm doing now. They don't like it. They don't want to hear it. They've had enough of it. And that includes your politically involved students. But if you get a group together, maybe I'm working with a Turning Point chapter and I suggest an event like that, then they watch that movie and then they talk to their friends about it. And their friends are more receptive to it because they heard about it from their friend and not some random lady who approached them and said, hey, you guys want a free Big Government Suck sticker? So it approaches everything. It's not, you're not dealing with the kind of people all the time that you see in a room like this where we just love to dork out is what we do. And so you have to kind of be sly about it. And that means going through their peers.
So we're screwed.
You know, I'm just speaking as somebody who's on campus all the time as well.
Oh, that's good. Oh, that's good.
Any more questions?
Any more questions?
Well, you shouldn't listen to any of those people. You're absolutely not stupid.
I'm brilliant, thank you.
I think this is one of the best presentations we've had.
Yeah, I think at the
Most encouraging.
something that was it's really great. What are you looking for
Pass
from
stuff
people?
out.
Pass stuff
I have more flyers. I
Okay.
have more pamphlets. I have buttons and stickers in the bag. I'm trying to regain my apartment. So if you want stuff to hand out and give to people, CDs, shoot me an email. I have stuff with me now, yes.
Sorry, for the sake of the recording, you might just repeat your contact info, website, stuff like that.
My email is Stephanie, STEPHANIE, at turningpointusa.net. You can reach me all the time on that, or I do my cell phone, which is 203-910-6911. And I answer calls from crazy numbers. If you call and you try to like sell me something, I'm gonna block your number. But if you call and you're interested about the program, I'd be more than happy to talk to you about it or direct you to the person who could more appropriately help you out.
Could you say your email again?
Stephanie, STEPHANIE, at turningpointusa.net. And I have more pamphlets with business cards and stuff like that too.
And the website and the Facebook.
turningpointusa.net or biggovernmentsucks.net, and the Facebook is just Turning Point USA.
Could you say your cell number again?
Can I give you a card?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. 203-910-6911.
Just in case I can't find the card.
Okay.
Yeah.
I am very excited about this. It has amazing ramifications in so many areas. Because once the kids get a taste of understanding big government sucks, it then can broaden into other things where the kids realize and see things. So I am very excited about this. I mean, 2 years for this organization to have gotten to be where it is right now, they have got a good formula. And I want to take a bunch of your flyers and things so that every meeting, guys, I'm going to have them. And get a few. And again, don't leave them in your car. Take the amount you think you can actually hand out. Think of people who have kids and what school do they go to? Like she mentioned UTD. I mean, I don't know what other university she's been at, but how many are around here, you know? I mean, I think it's a good idea. This is SMU territory right here. Maybe next time before our meeting starts, we check out, sit outside for a little bit and hand a few out as kids walk by or something. But Stephanie, I really am grateful you came and found us and came and gave us this presentation. So thank you.